Okay, I think I'm recording. I decided to do. This is for the. This is this video solution of the problem we we're doing in class today and the interest payable. And I will send you the solution from the text, but I'm going to walk you through it here. And I think mine is more intuitive. And so I am going to share the whiteboard. I got it pre-populated. Okay, so be able to walk through this pretty fast, I would say. So what I did is I put the exchange rates over here for reference. Okay. So what you might want to do is go to the problem. It's on page 382. It's problem 28. So the first thing we do is we say on April 1, loan inception, Mendoza borrows 500,000 euros. Okay. 500,000 euros, the rate at that point in time, that's repayable in euros, denominated in euros. So easy enough, easy peasy, 500,000 euros times 1.1. We receive cash of $550,000 and we have a note payable of $550,000. All right. The next thing is on October 1, we pay interest. And so the interest on this, again, it's all denominated in euros. So it's $500,000 euros. The annual rate's 5%. I divide that by 2 because it's 5% is an annual rate. This is 6 months of so that divided, it's like times 1/2, half a year, times, and the exchange rate at that time is 1.20. See that 1.20 there. So again, I do the calculation in euros because that's what it's denominated. 500,000 euros at 5% annual rate. I divide that by 2 because it's only 6 months, and I multiply that by the rate that the spot rate that I have to pay there, and that becomes $15,000. And I think most people had that right in the class this morning. Okay, and some people mocked it to market at October 1. The loan you could have done that. I think what was up on the board was they had 50,000 in October 1, 50,000 December 31. That wasn't right. So it's some split. But it says if you did it correctly, I wouldn't dock you for it. But in the market, in the book, it says they prepare financial statements at December 31. It doesn't talk about quarters. So what we're going to do then is at December 31, we're going to mark the loan to the current spot rate. And so again, we haven't paid any loans, so 500,000 euros is still outstanding. The current spot rate is 1.24. So 500,000 times 1.24 is 620,000. I should do something. Yeah. And then before we made this adjustment, the balance we had here, and I'm going to put this in here. So I should have done that. So the initial balance was 550, and that's at April 1. Okay. So now it has to be 620, okay, which is the 500,000 that's still outstanding times the current spot rate of 1.24 right here. 500,000 times 1.24, and that's 620. We had 550, okay, so we need an adjustment for 70. So it's gonna be the debit FX loss is 70. Maybe I'll put a FX loss up here somewhere. Pretty full. So debit 70. And credit the note payable to mark that to is the current spot rate or market. Really, I guess the current spot rate, and that's December 31. Okay. And that's that. Also at December 31, we have to recognize interest expense. Now we paid I guess we pay this October 1 and March 31, the interest expense. But so we have to do an accrual at December 31. Okay. So we're going to do is take the euro dollars times 1/4, because it's only 3 months of interest expense. Okay. The 1/4 is the 3 months from October 1 to 12/31, times the 5% annual interest rate, times the current spot rate at 12/31, which is 1.24. All right. So I'll say that again. The loan balance outstanding, which hasn't changed, is 500,000 euros, denominated in euros. We're recognizing interest for 3 months, so that's 1/4 of the year, at the 5% interest rate times the current spot rate, and that becomes the 77.50. And I think most people, I think we had that right at the board. Okay, so now we got a little trickier. Where I'm going to slow down is this. So now what the book had you do, and I'll start with what the book had you do. They said, okay, well, we had a liability at 12/31, so come to March 31, we have to remeasure that liability because it's a foreign currency transaction. Because we're paying that interest in a foreign currency, and the currency is moved. I'm sorry. Let me go back and put this interest payable over here. Okay. Let me post this interest payable. 77.50. Okay. So we post that there. And I'm going to leave interest expense off it. That's not too important. So now we have a foreign currency transaction. We have an interest payable. I would argue we don't, but there's an argument made. We have a foreign currency transaction that we have to remeasure it. And so the spot rate moved from 124 to 128. The simple way to do this, and they give you a more complicated way in the book, but the way I do this, okay, if that's what the balance was, if I multiply it by 128, divide by 124, I get it to what it needs to be. So that's what it should be. It's 8,000. It was 77.50, so we need an adjustment of 250. All right, so we'll do that. And then, so I remeasured the liability. Now I'm going to pay it says I have to pay the interest expense. The interest expense is, how did I get this? I didn't show you how to get the 16,000. So that would be the current spot rate. See if I can do this. It should be 1.28. It's 6 months of interest times 500. Times 0.05 divided by 2, 16,000, right? Okay. So let me do this. I'm going to calculate this here for you. So it's the 6 months of interest. So the balance is 500,000 euros. The interest rate's still is 5% times 5%, which is 0.05. It's for 6 months, so we're going to divide that by 2, okay? And then we're going to multiply that by all that by 1.28, and that gives us the $16,000 that we have to pay. And so now I had adjusted this. I already adjusted this payable first. So now I have I get rid of this interest payable. And I'm not keeping track of interest expense. You can do. I don't have room for that. That's not important. So now at that point, my interest, that's down to 0, right? You can see that's 0. Put the 0 on either side. And now I have to remeasure the loan at 3/31. So I could do it this. Well, I'll do it this way. So the value of the loan now is 500,000 times 1.28. That's 640,000. Okay, the most recent balance was 620,000. So I need an adjustment of 20,000. That's an FX loss of 20,000. Put that up here. And then loan payable of 20,000. It's March 30. I don't have all the dates, but you know. All right. And then the last thing I have to do is pay off the loan. So everything's adjusted now, and I do loan payable, debit loan payable, and credit cash 640. I'll put this over here, 640, 123. That all adds to 0. And then we'll do a little proof here. We have 90,000 of FX loss. And let's make sense of some of these numbers. So we started out with 550. We had to pay 640, and the difference is the $90,000 FX loss. I didn't have the two. I did not put the FX loss in there on the interest payable, but that's the FX loss on the note. I'll do that, and we can do FX loss interest, and that's it's gonna be 250. I think you can see that. Okay. So that is how I would do it. Now, the next part, so if you do this, you'll be fine. So I'm not sure. You know, this accrued interest payable that they're remeasuring, that's where I'm struggling. I'm not sure that people would remeasure that interest payable. I think that they would just adjust the accrued interest. That's how the book's showing. It's certainly not wrong. But what I think is more likely, they'd say, hey, I owe 16,000. I had 7750, so I got to recognize interest expense of 8250 for the difference. Okay. And why would that be okay versus remeasuring this accrued liability? Because well, the thing I'm struggling with, they didn't record. Let's say it was a public company. They didn't record any liability at 9:30. I guess you could record it at 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. You could continually update that and call those FX losses. And in fact, you don't have to pay the loan. Well, you certainly have a accrued liability. The payment date's March 31. You know, so maybe if you're going to do that, maybe that's the date to do the FX piece on. But nonetheless, if you came up with a combination of 16,000 of interest expense down here, this 8,000 plus the 7750 and 250, you call that all interest expense, I'd accept that. If you did the 250 remeasurement here, so you only had 750 of interest expense plus 250 of FX loss, I'd accept that also. So give me some flexibility. And in practice, I think you'd end up with 16,000 of interest expense most of the time. So anyways, I hope this helps. And we will see you Saturday afternoon, some of you, and if whoever I don't see, have a great time at that black and white. All right, let's stop it. Stop the record anyways.